It's a bustier. As you know, we are honoring Hispanic Heritage Month for this episode.
I am actually so excited about this. It's apparel that is easier to put on if you have any form of limited mobility. So maybe an injury, an illness, a disability, or you're just aging and need something that's a little bit easier than a traditional bra with a hook and eye in the back.
That is truly amazing, and hats off to you.
They're doing it right.
Latino women only get like 0.64% of the funding. There's so many of us.
Just write the check.
I found out there weren't any functional options. There wasn't anything that was pretty size inclusive, attractive, comfortable. There was nothing basically that would solve this problem. Like everybody wants to get served. And
I'm like, are you going to change your uniforms, McDonald's?
They're gonna be like, our uniforms are now brown with the gold arch to show that we are an inclusive company. That was a great time to start a business for sure.
Was it?
But what was maybe the number one want or need that the women expressed when it came to their bras?
Yeah, so the number one.
You gotta say adios. It's Hispanic Heritage Month.
Oh, yes. Adios.
Hasta la próxima.
Let's talk about breasts.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about all the good things
and all the bad things. Welcome to episode 55 of BoobTube Podcast. I'm your breast friend, Jaleesa.
I'm Chantel.
Or should I say your amiga, Jaleesa? I only say that because in this episode we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. So that's why, I did a little translation, a little traducción. But, so before I get carried away being silly, let's just go straight to the BoobTube streets. It doesn't take long, yeah. I don't have any sense, guys. So, I'm working on that, but I'm really not. Every day is a new day. But let's go to BoobTube on the move.
Can you name a Latina fashion brand?
No.
Okay.
Name a Latina celebrity that comes to mind when you think of breasts.
A Latina. Selena.
Oh, well, yeah, the bustiers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you name a Latina celebrity that comes to mind when you think of breast?
A Latina? What's her name?
Shakira.
J-Lo. The girl Shakira got she got okay said, but I can't think of a girl name, but she was a reporter, Hispanic reporter on the Hispanic network. So you know what I'm talking about.
You be watching Hispanic Network?
Man, sometimes you gotta flip over there and you see what's
When
going
you
on.
gazing through,
Oh.
stop.
Stop and you like, oh. Then put the translation on so you can understand.
Oh, you working on your bilingual, your Spanish?
Yeah, man, shout out
I
to my Hispanic
turn the volume down.
Okay. Okay.
They turn the volume.
So,
Selena.
yeah, with the boosty. It's a bustier! Famous line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. Shakira.
Yeah. I would think about her more with her hips than her breasts.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
because she made a whole song about that, but
they don't lie.
I mean,
she has.
But she did that one dance with Beyonce, and they.
Oh yeah, I like that song.
Yeah.
Beyonce, hey. Beautiful lie.
They were definitely doing some breast movement with one of those. Is that the same song?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Beautiful liar.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That was a cute video. Whoever directed it, produced it, whatever.
Yeah.
So where it kind of looked like they were interchangeable.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Throwback video jams, you know what I'm saying?
MTV.
If you're a little...
Probably.
Yeah, if you're not as old as us, go back and look up the song. It was a cool little song, cute little video. Who? Oh, we got Shakira. I mean, she has breasts, and they're usually well put together. All that. They aren't breasts that I would think of or anything, but I'm pretty sure they're like all spiced up and stuff for the nice costumes and gowns and all
Yeah.
that. She's she's an attractive woman. She's a sex symbol in a sense.
But that's
Like
probably
she's
why it came to
sexy.
mind.
Yeah. Because at some point I was like, are they just naming Hispanic women that they
Yes.
know?
J
Or
Lo.
are
I
they
mean,
I mean, yeah, because I mean, she's kind of like Shakira. Not that I would, minus the hips part.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything else is really the same.
yeah,
At one point, it was J Lo's butt that was a
it
big deal
was.
back in the day.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Again, they're probably just thinking who comes to mind first.
Yeah, but the news reporter though,
I don't know who she is.
he said, "What did he say? We just glazing through."
Yeah, no, he was like, his friend tried to save him, but he
To go through the channels. I was just like, you gotta put on the subtitles. But I'm like, that one, I don't even know.
Exactly. I don't know who.
I don't
I guess it's
know.
on Telemundo.
I don't even watch the news, period, honestly. So I don't know about the Spanish news either. But they are typically a little more. I feel like traditionally our news they tried to be a little more conservative, but attractive
Yeah.
because they want you to be attractive on TV. But now that our news reporters, like some of them look a little different now, and then we have some that are like Hispanic and black, and they're a little more curvaceous. So then, like, I've seen some posts on social media about like some of their dresses and stuff, or their curves, or like, man, didn't nobody hear anything that she just said. Yeah, so ultimately, men are creeps, like we've always said, because you over here watching news reporters and stuff. But oh, the thing I was gonna say is that I think that the Hispanic networks have typically had women dress more like sexy than non-Hispanic networks.
So compared to like what we see, like with the women in their dresses, they're. I mean, I've seen them pretty form fitting, but they might have shoulders. They're not. I don't think I've seen strapless. So would you say you've seen strapless on the Hispanic network?
Not that I can
More
just
cleavage?
recall, but probably like a little more cleavage, a little tighter,
Okay.
and maybe a little shorter or something. But I feel like I've seen that on even like Hispanic talk shows or something. I feel like that's always the look of the Latina woman, like a little more sexy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also asked about fashion brands.
Hmm.
I don't think anyone named.
I would say like if I were not in this industry, I might have been really stumped too.
Yeah.
But knowing some, I think I could think of a couple off the top of my head with no pressure. No pressure, no pressure. Uh so aside from Selena, well for me, I think of Sofia Vergara.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I feel like even on Modern Family, I mean she played the typical like Latina role, so she was always more like breasts pushed together and stuff like that. But she was so that's the first one that came to mind for me.
For me, it was what they said. Selena first,
Mm-hmm.
and then Jennifer Lopez. I think even Eva Longoria. I don't know why. She dresses sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, cleavage wise, I guess, but
Yeah.
I mean, nothing breast like just stands out. I'm just thinking other. If it was just specifically breast, I would just say Selena just because of the bustier. That's it.
It's a bustier. So as far as fashion brands, I found a couple that were cool. We had Flor de Maria, which is Maria's flower, but it's a shoe brand. That's some cute shoes. I like shoes.
Okay. I don't know any fashion brands
Um,
except for Miramoto.
yeah, that one comes to mind. I found Selva Negra, which is like a black forest. Or well, who else we got? Uh oh well, that would go into lingerie somehow.
I mean, it's still a brand.
Well, yeah, but I was trying to do like certain fashion ones and then like lingerie brands
Oh.
that I could think of. So I know there are more out there for sure, but I just don't know them at the top of my head like that. Pretty sure there are a lot of Hispanic designers.
And they might be
Or Latin
very
designers.
independent where they're not big brands, but they're
Yeah.
out there. I see that commercial with, which I'm trying to still figure out the connection with McDonald's partnering with black brands. They had made
Yeah.
the number 7.3%. And so I wonder what that number would be like for Latina brands.
Yeah. We'll see. I didn't really know what they were doing with the McDonald's one, but it looked like they paired up with different black designers, right?
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out the
something.
fast food and fashion. But okay.
they got to be inclusive.
Okay.
Everybody got to show they
You want
doing
your
their
French
part.
fries with your fashion.
Listen, when it's Pride Month, you got to do Pride stuff. Hispanic Heritage Month, you got to do Hispanic Heritage stuff. You got to put your Hispanic employee picture on everything.
Taco Tuesday.
It's Black History Month, you got to show your one black employee and make them the poster kid of your business. And you got to do Black History Month stuff. So, yeah.
If that's their way, okay.
You got to show that you're trying to progress.
I mean, because
some do right.
I'm like, are you going to change your uniforms, McDonald's?
They would be like, our uniforms are now brown with the gold arch to show that we are an inclusive company. Who knows?
I'll
That's
figure
gonna be
out.
funny.
Maybe the connection will become clearer in the future. Right now, I don't.
Some do right. Others, they're still trying to get right.
I mean, just write the check.
That part too. That part. When I think about like what did they have? They have Walmart would put out the Juneteenth ice cream. And we're like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, why?
Are they gonna put out a Hispanic Heritage Month ice cream? Guess we gotta see. If they do, like, come on now. Yeah. I wonder what it's gonna be.
Just write the check.
Right. Do that. Pay the people more. So some of the lingerie brands that I found, one of them, I don't know what they say, because isn't it femme when it's FEMME?
Mm-hmm.
So it's femsualidad.
You speak Spanish,
but
hola is what I got.
I don't even know the origins of femme. I mean, it's Latin.
Femme, but no, would it be femme if it's in Spanish?
But I don't know. I didn't pay attention to how they pronounce it. Either it's going to be femsualidad or femsualidad. Like
I would venture to say femme just because it's different.
But anyway, it's a lingerie brand, and it's it's a Latin company or Hispanic company. Yeah, I don't know. I had a second. Then there's another one called Latina Styles by Karina Rosales. I saw that she's in Australia. She moved to Australia. She's Venezuelan, but she left there because of troubles in Venezuela. I hope they get it together one day.
Everywhere across the world.
Yeah. There's Nicole Cuervo, who's the founder of Spring Rose, and that's an accessible bra. And they have the adaptive bra so that it like opens and closes in the front, and it has a variety of ways that it's accessible to its people, to those who wear it. There was Naja.
Naha?
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was Naja. Could be Naha. Again, I didn't hear it spoken. But it's an eco-friendly Latinx owned lingerie brand. And it's about they focus on going beyond the usual hypersexualized advertisements and instead focus on empowering women. And that they also focus on employing single mothers and female heads of households where they are paid above market wages and offered health care benefits.
I like that.
Yeah. So like we said, or like she said, cut the check. Just cut the check.
Cut the check.
They're doing it right. But I mean, they're not a major corporation who wasn't previously doing it right.
But a lot of people doing the work are not major corporations.
Right.
Keep doing what you're doing.
They could take a page out of your book.
Yes.
So yeah, keep it up. Then we have Ebby, and that is one of the ladies we mentioned, Sophia. She is a co-founder. So it's Sophia Vergara and Renata Mutis Black. Sounds like, it reminds me of a character from Harry Potter. Don't mind me. But it was created to celebrate all women's bodies within the world of lingerie. And I think there's another one, Braceley, I think they said the original or whatever, but the pearl thong. So they make like lingerie with pearls. And I think they are based out of Spain.
Okay.
I could be wrong, I could be right, but I think they're based out of Spain. And if I'm not mistaken, it was actually a man. It's a man's company. Like a man came up with it.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure there are people in their homes making nice things, so they're just not out there. So that gets overlooked a lot. But people, because I even see like when if you were to go to the flea market or these pop-up shops, or they were not necessarily pop-up shops, but they pop up and you see a nice variety of boutiques and different things. I know that some people make things themselves too, so there are more out there. So if you are one of those brands, leave a comment, or if you know one, leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah, tag them in our posts and bring awareness to us. We love hearing about new companies and stuff, and we get to talk to them, and that's always cool here on the Boob Tube.
Absolutely.
So, and speaking of which, one of the new companies that we learned about since Boob Tube is coming to join us. So let's see what this company has to say. So we have our lovely guest here, Nicole. She's the owner and founder of Spring Rose, and we can't wait to hear more about this. So welcome to Boob Tube.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining us. So, as you know, we are honoring Hispanic Heritage Month for this episode. And before we get into all the boobs, breasts, bras, and all of that, we'll have you share about your Hispanic heritage. Can you give us a little bit about that?
Yeah, happy to. So I'm actually from Argentina. I moved to the US when I was 8. So I was born and raised there. Spanish is my first language. Although now I'm very fully bilingual, luckily. Got to go to some great public schools that had bilingual programs, so kept my Spanish as I was growing up. But yeah.
That's good. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
All right. So Spring Rose, tell us about Spring Rose and how you came up with your concept for this wonderful idea.
I appreciate it. So for people who don't know, at Spring Rose, we design adaptive intimate apparel. That means that it's apparel that is easier to put on if you have any form of limited mobility. So maybe an injury, an illness, a disability, or you're just aging and need something that's a little bit easier than a traditional bra with a hook and eye in the back. I had the idea back in 2015, so it's been a while now since I first started on this. My grandmother Rose, well, Rosa, actually, but for the American audience, Rose, she, amazing, independent, capable woman, but had a lot of chronic pain and had osteoarthritis. And so it was very difficult for her to get dressed in the morning, particularly to put on her intimate apparel, so her bras or underwear. And when I went to find better options for her, I just thought she just didn't know how to shop online. I was like, there must be something out there. I found out there wasn't. There weren't any functional options. There wasn't anything that was pretty size inclusive, attractive, comfortable. There was nothing basically that would solve this problem. And my background is in human-centered design. Some people call it user research, some people design thinking. It's all related. So my first step was talking to as many people as I could about this and figuring out if it was actually a bigger problem. And it was. I ended up interviewing over 100 people, surveying over 500. And no matter who I talked to, they were like, oh yeah, I had this problem, or my sister, my aunt, my cousin, whoever it is. Everybody either had some limited mobility and understood the challenge, or knew somebody who could use our product. So from there, I started the company in July 2020.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so you're the pioneer for this.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be one of the first. But the industry's come a long way even since I started, so it's been nice to see.
That was a great time to start a business for sure.
Was
It's like,
it?
I mean, like it was such a pivotal moment in everyone's lives. So it's just like, well, yeah, that's when I started a business. So
Yeah, that's definitely true. I would say manufacturing, because we manufacture internationally, it's almost impossible to do in the US, was really difficult because you couldn't travel, you couldn't go anywhere. How are you supposed to visit and get to like build these relationships with manufacturers if you can't leave your home? But it worked out in the end. But yeah, it was a fun time.
for sure, it goes down in the books for everybody.
Yeah.
So, who would you say is your target customer? I know you mentioned, how you came about, how Spring Rose came about because of your grandma, but is that who you say your target customer is? Is it people?
We tend, yeah, so we tend to focus on anybody who has limited mobility. Not everybody identifies as having a disability. And so for us, it's like maybe you had a temporary shoulder injury, or you are pre or post surgery, you broke an arm, or maybe you do have a more long-term chronic condition like arthritis, or you had a stroke, or um, there's just like such a wide range. We serve over 50 different conditions, both temporary and permanent. So anybody who basically we say just wants an easier way to get dressed in the morning, because we don't have eyes in the back of our head. So
Right.
Many times that we've heard that before. It's not true. Um, what sizes do you carry, and what steps did you take to ensure that quality was provided with specific to those size ranges?
yeah, so our current sizing is from a 32 band to a 46, and from a B cup to an F cup, so a triple D in the US sizing system. Every brand does it differently, so it doesn't always translate one to one. And we're actually expanding to A cups, G cups, and H cups this year. So ideally, we should have those in market by the end of the year if everything goes well. Um, and yeah, and so the way we actually selected those sizes is I surveyed people, and I had over 1,000 women submit their size. And then we took like 80%. We're like, what were the most common sizes mentioned? Because you're gonna have some like size that is like 10 people in the population, because obviously everybody wants to get served. And I think that's something we definitely want to work towards. But to start, because we're a small business, we can't make every size. So that's where we started. We're expanding based on what our consumers have said they wanted, and also looking at our data for returns. So a lot of people will say, well, love the product, it was a little too small for me. And so, okay, then we make it a little bit bigger in the cups. We just have to rearrange the product because it wouldn't be supportive for G cups right now. We tested it and it was not supportive for half the people. So that's why we don't sell it up to a G cup. And so to keep up that quality, we make sure we test it with real women. We don't just get models. I get people off of Craigslist and like, hey, come try this bra, you normal sized looking person. And so that's how we do a lot of our initial testing. And then based on the data, we decide, is this serving the size appropriately? If yes, great. If not, how do we either make a different product that will serve that size, or how do we amend the existing one to better serve the one it's meant to? And yeah, I mean, quality is at the core of everything we do. We're really particular, and I'm really particular about making sure that every detail is right. And we have really good manufacturing partners with good ethical, fair labor, and quality standards. So every little bit along the process.
I had a question that came up in my mind.
Yeah.
You're very thorough in all your process. Did you have a design background prior to starting this journey?
I like to say I started it out of love and ignorance. Knowing what I know now, I would have done something. I mean, I love what I'm doing. I love the product. I love the space. I love my customers. It feels very fulfilling personally. If I wanted to build an easy business, I would have done like a beverage or something, a candy bar, like I don't know, something else. So no, I had a user research and design background, but I didn't have a fashion design background. So I ended up hiring a lot of experts that did at the beginning, and then I took an industrial design class. So then now I'm the one that can sketch it out. If I have an idea in my head, I can just take pen and paper and be like, works this way. It's very difficult to convey a product through words alone. So it's a skill I've had to learn.
Completely understand that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned your surveys and the sizes that a lot of women told you, but what was maybe the number one want or need that the women expressed when it came to their bras?
Yeah, so the number one thing we were solving for is functionality. A lot of people either couldn't put it on their bras or couldn't put it on themselves, or just like felt a lot of pain and discomfort while getting dressed in the morning because they would have to struggle with the clothing. We have women who would close the hook and eye off of their body and they would like try to shove themselves into it, which is not a comfortable experience. Or we had people who simply were like, I just couldn't do it. I had to ask my partner, my daughter, or somebody else in my family to help me. So that was the biggest pain point. The biggest kind of like finding from the data was when I surveyed women, we gave them a ranking of like what's most important to you in a product. And I thought it would be functionality, like how easy it is to get on, the accessibility of it. And the number one was comfort. So even if you create something that is beautiful or super functional, if it's not comfortable, people are still not going to want to wear it. And so for us, the North Star is, okay, cool, it works. It's all these cool things. It's like accessible. But first and foremost, it has to be comfortable. You have to want to be happy wearing it during the day. If not, we don't get anywhere. It's a non-starter.
Yeah, that
Sure.
makes sense.
So we know that the product idea came from your, wanting to help your grandmother. Do you wear your product?
I am actually so excited about this. So I am outside of our sizing range, unfortunately. But I know it's such a bane of my existence. But we are making the A cups now. And so I got, for the first time, a sample in my size and I put it on because I was like, great, now I can actually wear it. It was actually so comfortable. Now I understand why our customers are happy. And so we had to make a couple tweaks to the band size, and I'm getting a new set of samples in a few weeks. And I asked for my size despite it's not the one we need to really test. I just want one. So yeah, soon we'll have it, which I'm really excited about. We're doing a t-shirt bra for the smaller cups.
I have to say, you are truly amazing for creating a product, not for yourself, but for other people. Like most people start because it's an issue that they've encountered, but you have truly, these past years, have not even tested your product until recently. So that is truly amazing, and hats off to you.
Thank you. I mean, we tested it with a ton of women in our customer group, but yeah, I'm excited to finally be a user as well.
That you couldn't use your own product. But yeah, everything that Chantel said started from thought of your grandma, and then the design, everything was thought of others. So yeah, no one can call you selfish.
No, not at all.
That's one thing that we learned about you. No one can call you that. Okay, so you mentioned it briefly, but what are ways that people have responded to the product outside of just it being comfortable?
Yeah, it's my boyfriend, it says he's jealous of me a little bit because I get really sweet customer notes. It's not a thing you get in like a big corporate setting. So it's meaningful to me, all the people that trust us. One, because it's people who either have no other option. They're like, I've tried everything. I've exhausted all options. This is the first thing that's actually worked for me. And that's always really satisfying and heartwarming. And then it's people who maybe the original product didn't work because they were outside of the sizing range or wasn't supported enough or whatever the case might be. And now we are releasing a more supportive, larger bust version. And they're like, nobody's actually ever listened to me before. Thank you for following up. Thank you for actually pulling through when you said you would. And so we have both sides of the coin of people who we have helped, and they're excited. They're like, it's the first time I can get dressed alone. Because I have, like, for example, customers who have cerebral palsy. And so that generally happens either when you're born or when you're very young. And so I have customers like that who are like, I can finally put on my bra myself. My mom doesn't have to help me. Great thing to be able to do at 28. All the way to, older customers who are like, I've tried everything yours worked functionally, maybe didn't fit quite right, but now you're actually making a product that does serve my needs. And I'm excited that you basically said what you were you did what you said you were gonna do. So yeah, it's very meaningful every time I get an email from a customer who's happy.
Love to hear that for
Give
you.
what you receive what you put out there.
Hopefully. It's a lot of work.
It is.
It's a lot of work to make it look professional on the outside. A lot of people don't seem to realize that we are small, we're pretty new. They think we're like big corporate, and it's like, no, it is me. I am the analyst, the CEO, the customer service rep.
All
Yeah,
the things.
entrepreneurship for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that next question was yours, but it leads right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of those challenges you faced in your journey with spring rolls, and are any attributed to your race or ethnicity?
Mm. I think the hardest part to start with was finding, well, there were three things. One is finding good people. I didn't know what I didn't know at the time. Obviously, that's something people say as a cliche all the time, but it was true, very much so, where once I started bringing on experts, things were moving much more smoothly and I was learning from them, but it was finding the right experts because I had people who were experts and they just, they didn't prioritize us and they didn't help us move forward. They just kind of did what suited them best, which is fine. Versus now I have a team that's been with me for over 2 years some of the time, and they've really helped us grow. So that's one. Finding a manufacturer was difficult because it was COVID time. So I mentioned before, it was very challenging to trust that the people could do what they said they could do, that they were actually using good, fair labor and paying people well, that they had good working conditions. Also, yeah, that was very challenging because it was COVID times, also because I don't have a manufacturing background and I had to, my products quite finicky to make. Bras are already, as you probably know, the hardest piece of apparel to create. And then you add on to that a functional layer, which is like needs to be manufactured differently. So that was very challenging. We went through 4 different partners before we found our current one. And then the third part, I don't know that there's anything necessarily based on my race. I'm very white passing, which is great for me in the US. But it is a privilege. But I think being a woman, I didn't feel it while I was growing the company or while I was like starting the company. But once I went to fundraise, it was, people weren't overtly sexist by any stretch of the imagination. People were all nice and kind. But when you look back on who actually invested in my company, it's people who either, like organizations that either knew me and the business really, really well from the inside out because I'd been through an accelerator or some program, or it's funds that only invest in either women of color or Latino founders. And so when you think about the sheer number of people I reached out to and then who actually invested, it's kind of telling to some extent.
As far as when you said it was telling about the people who like did contribute and everything, like what did you was it more so women or was it like what? I don't know. Like who was it that you feel like it was, what was it telling? What did it tell you? I'm sorry. I had a moment. I was like, wait, what am I trying to say?
Yeah. It was people that knew that I'm capable and that the business has a good standing and good foundations and know that it's not a risky bet. And it's then also people whose mandates are investing in women of color.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I was just making sure. I thought that's what I was just making sure, just in case I like missed something.
Nope.
Okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay. There's other lessons. Looking back on it, there's things I would have done differently in my pitch deck. There's ways I would have framed the company differently. So I did learn a lot. It's not just like discrimination by any stretch of the imagination, but Latino women only get like 0.64% of the funding. There's so many of us that are building amazing companies. And when you think about it as just a statistic, it's really depressing. But yeah, it's just the reality of being a woman founder. I have friends who are building wonderful companies that have legs and have so much traction and have shown really great progress. but they're really struggling because they haven't raised as much as like a male counterpart would have raised for the same exact thing or less. And so a lot of what you see sometimes is, if you look at history, women will start a company. It's a great company. It's a solid company. It fails because they don't have enough funding to start out. And then a man will come a few years later, build the same company, and then succeed. So it's just an unfortunate state of the industry.
For sure. That makes all sense to me. I know exactly what you're saying. And then even when you look at the statistics, it's not even if you just break it down from male and female, that's like a huge gap.
Mhm.
For sure.
And a lot of the time the women, I mean, it's not because of it necessarily, but it's the women only teams that don't get funding. The mixed gender teams do. Less than the all male teams, but they do get funding. And so it's just unfortunate to see that this is a trend that has not changed, despite people saying it's changing. But you can play with statistics. So
And that exact thing was confirmed a couple of weeks ago. So a VC mentioned diversity as far as, well, I think general diversity, but not having maybe not having an all Black team or not having an all female team. Like definitely diversify your team when you're fundraising would be helpful.
yeah, that is true.
So much when it comes to that, for sure. So, is there another issue with bras that you are looking to address in the future?
I don't know if there's an issue with bras necessarily, other than the accessibility. I think what's an issue in the industry in general, which I think is always interesting when I talk to people, is the lack of sizing consistency. People tend to assume they're a certain size. They're not. They're just that size in that brand. And even it might not even be consistent across the brand. So every time somebody's like, well, I'm always this size. And it's like, in what product? Because there is no standardization. And so I think it's a lie that has been shared around, which is like 80% of women are in the wrong size. Sure, you might be in the wrong bra.
Yeah.
The size is just relative, quite frankly, to whatever brand you're purchasing from. So it's something that's been pushed as though the customer's wrong, when it's actually just the industry that is not doing its the nice thing. When I learned that men's pants are kind of standard sizing, I was so upset. I'm so upset.
Yeah, we have our moments when we're like, why do we have all this? Like, why is it this way for us?
Yeah. But we're your tribe. We definitely get it. And we've discussed it. We said, I think maybe in 2052, we would come out with an international universal sizing. It's so, there's so many different size charts. They're like, oh, American, UK, Australian. It's like so many different ways to size. And like you said, it's all relative. It's not going to always be the same size, even within the same brand. There certain cuts and stuff are different, so you might
Yeah.
need so deal with it all the time. But yeah, all of that is very true, and that's something that really needs to change in the industry, the whole sizing game thing, whatever.
It's a mess.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
one page when it comes to sizing, because you have people who aren't in the industry who are just regular consumers of bras. Like, it's a lot of information to hold on to. It's like, so this is how you size. Okay, so this is my size, but not in this, but this size, and it's just a lot. And when you think, like, for someone who's not into this at all, so
And who was I sizing the other day? I was sizing a friend of mine, and in a UK sizing, she's like a 28F, like a double DF. But for us, she's a 30B, I think it was. And so it's just like, she
Way
can
off.
wear it. Yeah. And like, I honestly just gave her a sample of ours, but I was like, you can think a brand won't have your size when they might, because it depends on like who sized you to begin with, who told you what size you are, that if they did or didn't tell you the sizing system. Even in the US, like Victoria's Secret adds 4, other brands add 2, some of them don't add any to the underband. And so it's very confusing for consumers, and it's not their fault.
Yeah, I recently looked at a bra and I'm like, 28, I am not a and it was different. I ain't never been no high. I don't even look close to an high, but those numbers, like if the math is not right in our head all the time, it can throw women off. But it's a lot. Yeah, like you said, it goes into it and trying to convert it. I'm not doing all that.
Right. And it's one of the reasons people actually love our product, which was not one of the reasons I thought until I asked my consumers, but it's the adjustable sizing. So
Okay.
we combine two bands because the fabric is stretchy, but still has like a tightness to it because it's a shapewear fabric. We also have the front adjustability from the Velcro closure. We have extra column of hook and eyes in the back because we do have also back closure for adjustability sake. The cups are unpadded, unwired, and so they stretch, and basically people like it because they can find their actual right fit and they feel more comfortable in the size. And then if you lose weight or gain weight, you can probably keep this unless it's like very different. Generally for fluctuations monthly, you can keep the same bra. You don't have to go buying new products all the time. And so it saves consumers money in the long run if you don't have to like change all of your bras every 2 months if you're like fluctuating.
Absolutely.
That made me
All
think
right.
about stuff your face and you get full. And sometimes your bra might feel a little tight after you get full. And then you can just take that Velcro strap and loosen it up a little bit. It's like,
Yeah.
Yes, that much needed relief.
yeah.
Yeah, without having to go and like take off your bra, try and adjust it, put it back on. Like easy peasy. Just takes one button.
I like that. Yeah. Where would you like to see your brand in the next 10 years?
Oh, I have so many plans. I can't say all the plans,
Okay.
but I have so many plans. We get reached out to all the time about products people would love to see. And so we definitely want to expand. We do plan on expanding pretty soon into underwear as well. And we have some pretty innovative things. Those will take a little longer to put out because we got to make them not look medical and terrible. We have to we want to keep it to like, it looks nice and it's functional, which is a little bit harder sometimes. But we want to expand into a lot of other product categories. We want to expand internationally. We do sell internationally, but we're not currently like in country. You have to ship it from the US, which takes a lot of time. And so we just want to make sure that we are available to people wherever they want to be. Like not everybody shops online. We want to be in store as well so that they can find us there. But we're starting little by little.
That's all you can do. Then you build and blooming is something so beautiful, but it's still beautiful in its smallest spaces. Don't forget that. Okay, so where can people find you?
Right now, we're available obviously on our website. It's www.springrose, spring like the season, rose like the flower, .co, not .com, .co. If they Google us, they'll find us. And we're also available at we're trying to get into small lingerie boutiques, like local regional ones. We're in one called Intimacy in Michigan, northern Michigan, and we're talking to a few others. So at some point we'll have a page on our website where people can find us in store if they need to, but for now the best place is our website.
And your socials?
Springrose.co. Same. Easy peasy across every platform.
Perfect.
And you already provided so much positivity already throughout this conversation, but we always like to end on a word of positivity. What would you like to share out to the world?
More and more people are starting to care. And I think particularly for women who identify as having disability or who say, I have a disability, they have been so hidden for so long and ignored for so long. And it's nice to see, even from 2020 when I started to now 2024, there's been a lot of positive movement and change in both awareness, disability rights, product availability. I'm excited for what the future holds and to keep on making the world more and more accessible, because almost everybody will get a disability at some point in their life. So if you're not doing it for for other people, at least do it for yourself and the future you want to be part of.
Perfect. I love that.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you again for joining us and sharing more about your journey and introducing Spring Rose. When we were looking for a guest for this episode, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is an amazing product. Well, again, I'm not your current customer at this moment. Hopefully it'll be a long ways before I get there, but I was really intrigued by what you created and how you're helping more and more women. So thank you.
No, thank you too. I appreciate it. I always love sharing more about it because I'm really passionate about it, obviously. And I'm like, am I talking too much? Do you know want the like really intimate details? Because I can go deep.
No, I love that. And even something I thought of during the conversation was a recent podcast I saw where they were talking about people experiencing, well, women specifically experiencing frozen shoulder during perimenopause or menopause and not
Wait,
being
what's
able,
it called?
frozen shoulder.
Frozen. Okay.
Yeah. And she was saying how like that first mobility that you lose is being able to make this motion. So I was thinking about how that could even benefit people who are dealing with frozen shoulder and maybe haven't tackled it or are in the process of it, because she was saying it could take up to 2 years for it to defrost. But yeah.
It is actually one of the biggest conditions we serve. Well, I would say shoulder injuries in general are really common once you hit the age of 50. Women particularly tend to favor one side, one shoulder over the other. So you carry your purse on the same side, your backpack, the child, the bag with the child, like everything is just tends to be on one side, and it creates micro tears. And once you hit 50, your body just doesn't heal as quickly as before. And that micro tear no longer heals, and that's an actual tear. And now you can't really move your shoulder. But same with frozen shoulder. There's most of the conditions we serve predominantly impact women. What a joy.
So another name, another target audience. But yeah, I've enjoyed this for sure. And thank you so much for joining us to share about Spring Rose. Of course, you didn't do too much talking or go too deep. We love to hear it all. And this, like everything Chantel said, like is very interesting and so cool. Things that, and I've specifically worked with people with disabilities, and I don't think I ever thought about this myself, even having like the broad aspect of me and that aspect. I never thought about combining them like that. So that is really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll definitely be telling people about it.
Please do.
Yeah. My cup currently runneth over with it, but if you ever get up, go up some more cups.
Well, in what brand?
I mean, across the board, I'm bigger than age.
Interesting. I'm curious.
I think I always say like there can always be that sisterhood of the traveling pants moment, but like with a bra, because every so often you get it was like, well, this is your size, but it fits you perfectly, and like everything else is another cup size, but this one bra you manage to fit it in this cup size. So sometimes
you never know.
that guy.
Wow. No, we do have people who are like, I am in double J, and I'm like, one day maybe. It's a hard size to serve because we want to stay as wireless as possible. And there just is a limited amount of support you can provide without wires. So it's always a constant like tug.
Yeah. I have had some like really good non-wired bras in my size. I actually have one on now. That's good. But yeah, it can be a lot of people even in that size, they're like, oh, my bra with no wires in my size, like no way. Because it is such
people sometimes don't believe it.
Yeah, you got to see it to believe it or feel it.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, it's not supportive, and it's like they're like that model's too small, and it's like we have larger chested models on our website. Just click.
Give you some.
It's there.
So you
A
can
lot of women have been scarred by bras.
Yeah, it's a tough industry. It really is.
Yeah.
It's
But
worthwhile.
yeah, there are people like us that's working to make it less tough for the consumers, for sure.
Yeah. It's-
Yes.
But yeah, no, I appreciate y'all a lot. Thank you for reaching out. Truly.
You're welcome. Well, let us know if there's anything we can do. I don't know what that would be, but we would love to share, share this out. But if anything comes across, just let us know. We would love to support you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll definitely tell people about you for sure.
Thank you. That's the hardest one, is just like reaching people and letting them know we exist. But yeah, no, we'll keep on fighting the good fight. Bye.
Well, we have learned so much about different Latina brands from lingerie and fashion, and it was great exploring this for Hispanic Heritage Month. Be sure to support as many Hispanic brands as you can. And again, share who you are so that we can support you as well. We all want to be in this together because we all believe in the power, or we here believe in the power of numbers and support. Tune in next week as we talk about some health matters related to the transgender community when it comes to breasts. But in the meantime, be sure to check us out at bootupodcast.net for merch. You can get shirts and adult game. And you can also find us on Patreon and
The internet.
find us. I drew a blank. Go find us and check out what we have there. In the meantime, or in between time, we'll see you next time.
Adios.
Bye.
You gotta say adios. It's Hispanic Heritage
Oh,
Month.
yes. Adios.
Hasta la próxima.